The arrival. The skies above Earth churned with ominous energy, a prelude to the impending storm that would soon break upon humanity's shores. Major Sarah Chen stood atop the observation deck of the Global Defense Initiative's headquarters, her eyes fixed on the horizon, where the first signs of the alien fleet had been detected. "They're really coming, aren't they?" Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez asked, his voice barely above a whisper as he joined her at the railing. Sarah nodded, her expression grim. SETI picked up their transmissions 3 days ago. The eggheads are still trying to decipher most of it, but one thing's clear. They're not here for a friendly chat. As if on cue, Sarah's comm unit chirped. "Major Chen, report to command immediately," came the terse order from General Eliza Hawthorne, the newly appointed head of Earth's Unified Defense Forces. Sarah exchanged a knowing look with Jake before hurrying to the elevator. The smooth descent to the underground command center gave her a moment to collect her thoughts. Humanity had long speculated about first contact, but few had truly prepared for the reality of a technologically superior hostile alien force. The doors slid open, revealing a hive of activity. Analysts huddled over screens, military personnel from dozens of nations conferred in hushed tones, and at the center of it all stood General Hawthorne, her silver hair gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Major," Hawthorne acknowledged as Sarah approached. "What's the status of Project Thunderbolt?" Sarah straightened, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility. "The prototypes are ready for field testing, General. We've successfully integrated the EM pulse technology with our existing Howitzer platforms. If our theories are correct, these babies should pack quite a punch against their energy shields." Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. "Theories, Major? We're about to face an alien armada, and you're giving me theories." "With all due respect, General," Sarah countered, "we're working with limited intel on their tech. But I stake my career on this. Our artillery may look primitive to them, but it's got a few surprises up its sleeve." The tension in the room was palpable as Hawthorne considered Sarah's words. Finally, she nodded. "Very well, Major. You have 48 hours to deploy your units to these key locations." She gestured to a holographic map of Earth, red markers indicating strategic points across the globe. As Sarah studied the map, a young analyst burst into the room, his face pale. "General, we've decoded more of their transmissions. They're mocking us." The room fell silent as the analyst pulled up a holographic display. The alien message, now translated, scrolled across the screen. "Pitiful Earthlings, your primitive weapons are no match for the might of the Zarkoth Empire. Surrender now, and we may spare your miserable planet from total annihilation." A low murmur of anger and fear rippled through the command center. Sarah felt her fists clench at her sides, a fire igniting in her chest. General Hawthorne's voice cut through the noise, steel in her tone. "They think our weapons are primitive. Then let's show these alien bastards what Earth's primitive artillery can do. Major Chen, you have full authority to proceed with Project Thunderbolt. Make it count." Sarah saluted sharply, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "With pleasure, General." As she left the command center, Sarah's mind raced with preparations. She had to gather her team, coordinate with global artillery units, and pray that their innovations would be enough to turn the tide. The next 36 hours passed in a blur of activity. Sarah's team worked tirelessly, retrofitting howitzers with the new EM pulse technology and training crews in record time. Reports flooded in from around the world. The alien fleet had entered the solar system, their massive ships casting shadows across the moon as they approached Earth. In a remote artillery base nestled in the Rocky Mountains, Sarah oversaw the final preparations. The modified howitzers stood ready, their barrels gleaming in the early morning light. Each shell was a marvel of human ingenuity, a combination of kinetic force and electromagnetic pulse designed to penetrate and disrupt alien energy shields. "All units report ready, Major," Jake announced, joining Sarah as she performed the final inspection. Sarah nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Good. Now we wait." They didn't have to wait long. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the first alien ships breached Earth's atmosphere. Their sleek, otherworldly designs defied conventional aerodynamics, gliding through the air with an eerie silence that belied their deadly purpose. Across the globe, humanity held its breath. Traditional air defenses engaged the alien craft, but their weapons seemed to bounce harmlessly off shimmering energy shields. The aliens' return fire was devastating, reducing military installations to rubble with pinpoint accuracy. Sarah watched the carnage unfold on tactical displays, her jaw set in determination. "This is it, people," she announced over the comm. "Wait for my signal." As the alien ships drew closer, their arrogance became apparent. They flew in tight formations, clearly unconcerned about any threat from the ground. Sarah's eyes narrowed as she tracked their approach. "Now," she shouted. The earth shook as the howitzers roared to life. Shells streaked across the sky, their trajectories calculated to intersect with the alien formation. For a moment, it seemed as though the projectiles would simply bounce off the energy shields like everything else. But then, something extraordinary happened. As the shells detonated, they released a powerful electromagnetic pulse. The alien shields flickered and failed, leaving them vulnerable to the kinetic force that followed. Explosions blossomed among the alien ships, sending several plummeting to the ground in flames. Cheer went up from the artillery crews, but Sarah remained focused. "Keep firing," she ordered. "Don't give them time to regroup." The aliens, caught off guard by the unexpected effectiveness of Earth's weapons, scrambled to respond. Their tight formations broke apart as they tried to evade the barrage, but the howitzers adjusted their fire with deadly precision. Reports streamed in from around the world. Other artillery units were reporting similar successes. The aliens' initial air superiority was crumbling in the face of humanity's refusal to go quietly into the night. As the battle raged on, Sarah allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction. The alien warlords had underestimated Earth's firepower, believing their advanced technology made them invincible. But they were learning a harsh lesson. Humanity's greatest strength lay not in the weapons themselves, but in the ingenuity and determination of those who wielded them. The skies above the Rocky Mountains, once filled with alien ships, began to clear. The invaders were retreating, pulling back to regroup and reassess their strategy. But Sarah knew this was only the beginning. The alien warlords would not take this defeat lightly, and humanity would need every ounce of courage and innovation to face what was coming next. As the sun set on the first day of Earth's defense against an alien invasion, Major Sarah Chen looked out over the smoking remains of downed alien craft scattered across the landscape. She took a deep breath, savoring the small victory while steeling herself for the challenges ahead. "Well done, everyone," she addressed her team. "But don't get comfortable. Tomorrow, we show these alien warlords what humanity is really made of." The battle for Earth had only just begun, but humanity had sent a clear message to the stars: underestimate us at your peril. First contact. The dawn broke over a changed Earth. Smoke from yesterday's battle still lingered in the air, mixing with the early morning mist to create an eerie, otherworldly atmosphere. Major Sarah Chen stood at the command center's main viewport, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of the alien fleet's return. "Status report," she called out, her voice cutting through the tense silence of the room. Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez responded promptly, his fingers dancing across a holographic display. "All artillery units report ready, Major. We've managed to resupply overnight, and the new EM shells are being distributed globally as we speak." Sarah nodded, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Good. We bloodied their nose yesterday, but you can bet they'll be back with a vengeance." As if on cue, the command center's alarms blared to life. Red warning lights bathed the room in an ominous glow as technicians scrambled to their stations. Multiple contacts detected entering Earth's atmosphere. A young analyst shouted, her voice barely audible over the cacophony of alarms. They're everywhere." Sarah's eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. The alien fleet had indeed returned, but their formation was different this time. Instead of the tight, arrogant clusters they'd used in their initial assault, the ships were now spread out in a loose, unpredictable pattern. "They're adapting," Sarah muttered, her mind racing. "Jake, get me a direct line to General Hawthorne. We need to coordinate our response. Fast." As Jake worked to establish the connection, Sarah turned her attention to the global defense network. Artillery units from every corner of the Earth reported in, their voices a mix of determination and barely contained fear. Sarah knew that the next few hours would determine the fate of humanity. General Hawthorne's face appeared on the main screen, her expression a mask of steel. "Major Chen, I assume you're seeing what we're seeing." Sarah nodded. "Yes, General. They've changed their tactics. Our artillery won't be as effective against this dispersed formation." Hawthorne's eyes hardened. "Then we'll just have to get creative, won't we, Major? What do you propose?" For a moment, Sarah felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Billions of lives hung in the balance, waiting for her next move. Then an idea sparked in her mind. "General, we need to draw them in," Sarah said, her voice gaining confidence as the plan took shape. "If we can't hit them while they're spread out, we'll make them cluster together." Hawthorne raised an eyebrow. "And how do you suggest we do that, Major?" Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic display, bringing up a map of key strategic locations. "We'll use ourselves as bait. We'll make them think they've found our weakest points, our most vulnerable targets. When they move to strike, we'll be waiting." For a tense moment, Hawthorne said nothing. Then, a slow smile spread across her face. "Risky, Major, but it just might work. You have my authorization. Make it happen." As the connection cut out, Sarah turned to her team. "All right, people, listen up. We're going to rewrite the book on asymmetric warfare. Here's what we're going to do." Over the next hour, Sarah's plan was put into motion. Across the globe, carefully orchestrated transmissions were broadcast, designed to be intercepted by the alien fleet. These messages spoke of critical weaknesses in Earth's defenses, of secret bunkers, and hidden weapon caches. At the same time, artillery units were repositioned, camouflaged, and prepared for the fight of their lives. Sarah knew they were taking an enormous gamble, but it was a gamble they had to take. As the alien fleet descended, their ships moved with purposeful intent. It was clear they had taken the bait, converging on the locations hinted at in the intercepted transmissions. "All units, hold your fire," Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Wait for my signal." The tension in the command center was palpable as they watched the alien ships draw closer and closer to the trap. Sarah's eyes were fixed on the tactical display, waiting for just the right moment. "Now," she shouted. Across the Earth, artillery batteries roared to life. The sky lit up with the brilliant flashes of EM shells detonating among the alien ships. Taken by surprise, the invaders' formations broke apart in chaos. "Direct hit on alien command ship in Sector 7. Jake called out, his voice filled with excitement. Sarah allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction before refocusing on the battle. "Keep the pressure on them. Don't let them regroup." The aliens, caught off guard by the ferocity and precision of Earth's attack, struggled to mount an effective counteroffensive. Their energy shields, so formidable in the initial invasion, flickered and failed under the relentless barrage of EM pulses. As the battle raged on, Sarah received reports from around the world. The trap had worked in multiple locations, dealing significant damage to the alien fleet, but the fight was far from over. "Major," Jake called out, his voice urgent, "we're picking up a massive energy spike from the alien flagship." Sarah's blood ran cold as she saw the readings. The aliens were preparing to unleash a weapon of terrifying power, likely in retaliation for their losses. "All units, focus fire on that flagship," Sarah ordered, her voice carrying the full weight of command. "We cannot let them fire that weapon." The next few minutes were a blur of frantic activity. Every available artillery piece was brought to bear on the alien flagship, pouring fire into its defenses. The ship's energy shields held for what seemed like an eternity, shimmering and pulsing under the assault. Just when it seemed like their efforts would be in vain, a lucky shot found its mark. A massive explosion blossomed at the heart of the alien vessel, followed by a chain reaction that tore the ship apart from within. A cheer went up in the command center, but Sarah remained focused. "Don't celebrate yet," she cautioned. "We've won the battle, but the war is far from over." As the remnants of the alien fleet retreated to the upper atmosphere, Sarah took stock of the situation. They had survived the second wave of the invasion, but at a heavy cost. Cities lay in ruins, and countless lives had been lost. In the quiet aftermath of the battle, Sarah addressed her team. "What we've done here today is nothing short of miraculous," she said, her voice filled with pride and determination. "We've shown these aliens that humanity will not go quietly into the night, but this is just the beginning." She paused, looking each member of her team in the eye. "They'll be back, and they'll be angry. We need to be ready. We need to push our technology, our tactics, and ourselves to the limit. Because the next time they come, it will be with everything they've got." As her words sank in, Sarah could see the resolve hardening in the eyes of her team. They had tasted victory, however fleeting, and it had ignited a fire within them. Over the next few days, Sarah worked tirelessly with scientists, engineers, and military strategists from around the world. The knowledge gained from the captured alien technology was invaluable, allowing them to refine their EM weapons and develop new countermeasures against the invaders' advanced systems. One evening, as Sarah pored over the latest intelligence reports, General Hawthorne entered the command center. The room fell silent as she approached. "Major Chen," Hawthorne said, her voice carrying a note of respect that hadn't been there before. "Walk with me." As they strolled through the underground facility, Hawthorne spoke quietly. "You've done the impossible, Sarah. You've given humanity a fighting chance. But I need to know, do you think we can win this war?" Sarah was silent for a long moment, considering her answer carefully. Finally, she spoke. "General, I don't know if we can win in the conventional sense. These aliens have technology we can barely comprehend, let alone match. But that's not what's going to decide this war." She stopped walking, turning to face Hawthorne directly. "What's going to decide this war is the human spirit. Our ability to adapt, to innovate, to find solutions where none seem possible. We may be outgunned and outmatched, but we will never be outthought or outfought." A slow smile spread across Hawthorne's face. "Well said, Major. I couldn't agree more." She placed a hand on Sarah's shoulder. "Get some rest. You're going to need it for what comes next." As Hawthorne walked away, Sarah felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that the coming days would test humanity like never before, but she also knew that they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Returning to the command center, Sarah found Jake still hard at work, analyzing data from the recent battles. She couldn't help but smile at his dedication. "Lieutenant," she called out, "I think it's time we showed these aliens what humanity is really capable of. How would you like to help me design the next generation of Earth's defenses?" Jake's eyes lit up with excitement. "I thought you'd never ask, Major." As they bent over the holographic display, brainstorming ideas and pushing the boundaries of what was possible, Sarah felt a surge of hope. The aliens may have believed Earth's artillery was weak, but they were learning a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The howitzers that had turned the tide of battle were just the beginning. With the entire planet united against a common threat, there was no limit to what they could achieve. Sarah knew that the road ahead would be difficult, filled with setbacks and sacrifices. But she also knew that humanity would face these challenges head-on, with courage, ingenuity, and an indomitable spirit. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Sarah looked out at the world they were fighting to protect. The aliens had come expecting an easy conquest, but they had found instead a species willing to fight with everything they had for their home. The battle for Earth was far from over, but one thing was certain: humanity would not go down without a fight. And if the aliens thought they had seen the full extent of Earth's firepower, they were in for a rude awakening. For in the laboratories, factories, and military bases around the world, a new chapter in human innovation was about to begin. The Howitzers had been just the start. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do when pushed to the brink. The turning point. The war room hummed with nervous energy as Major Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of Earth's defenses. Weeks had passed since their initial victories, and the alien Zarkov Empire had retreated to regroup. But everyone knew this was merely the calm before the storm. "Our latest intel suggests they're massing for a major offensive," Sarah explained, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "They've learned from their previous encounters with our EM-enhanced artillery. We need a new advantage." Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez stepped forward, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "Major, I think we might have something. Project Cronus is ready for field testing." Sarah's eyebrow arched. Project Cronus had been a closely guarded secret, a desperate gambit born from the fusion of captured alien tech and human ingenuity. "Show me," she commanded. Jake's fingers danced across the holographic controls, bringing up schematics for what appeared to be a massively upgraded howitzer. "We've managed to reverse engineer portions of the alien's shield technology," he explained. "By combining it with our EM pulse generators, we've created a weapon that can not only penetrate their defenses, but temporarily create a localized disruption field." Sarah leaned in, studying the design with intense focus. "Effective range. Triple that of our standard howitzers," Jake replied, unable to keep the pride from his voice. "And the disruption field should give our conventional forces a fighting chance in close-quarter combat." For the first time in weeks, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. "How soon can we deploy?" Before Jake could answer, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red warning lights bathed the war room in an eerie glow as technicians scrambled to their stations. Multiple contacts detected entering low Earth orbit. A young analyst shouted over the cacophony, "It's a full-scale invasion force." Sarah's mind raced. They weren't ready. Project Cronus was untested, and most of their forces were still equipped with the older EM artillery. But they were out of time. "Jake, get Project Cronus online now," she ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I want every available unit equipped and ready to fire within the hour. We'll have to test it in the field." As Jake rushed to carry out her orders, Sarah opened a channel to General Hawthorne. The older woman's face appeared on screen, her expression grim. "I assume you're seeing this, Major?" Hawthorne asked. Sarah nodded. "Yes, General. We're deploying Project Cronus. It's not ideal, but it's our best shot." Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. "A lot of people are betting their lives on this untested technology. Chen, are you sure about this?" For a moment, Sarah felt the full weight of her decision. Billions of lives hung in the balance. But then she remembered the courage and determination she'd seen in the faces of those fighting alongside her. "I'm sure, General. Humanity has come too far to back down now." A ghost of a smile flickered across Hawthorne's face. "Then make it count, Major. The fate of our species is in your hands." As the communication cut off, Sarah turned to address the war room. "Listen up. This is the moment we've been preparing for. The Zarkov thought they could break us, but they've only made us stronger. Today, we show them what happens when you back humanity into a corner." A cheer went up from the assembled personnel, their faces set with grim determination. As they rushed to their stations, Sarah felt a surge of pride. Whatever happened next, she knew humanity would face it head-on. The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Project Cronus units were deployed to key strategic locations around the globe, while conventional forces prepared for the ground assault that was sure to follow. Sarah watched from the command center as the first wave of alien ships entered the atmosphere. Their formation was different this time. a dense, spherical cluster that seemed designed to maximize the effectiveness of their shield technology. "They've learned," Sarah muttered, studying the tactical display. "But so have we. All units, prepare to fire on my mark." As the alien fleet descended, Sarah waited for the perfect moment. The success of their defense hinged on timing the first volley of Project Cronus just right. "Now," she shouted. Across the globe, the newly modified howitzers roared to life. Streaks of brilliant energy lanced upward, each shot carrying the hopes of humanity. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as though they would impact harmlessly against the alien shields. Then, something extraordinary happened. Where the Project Cronus shells detonated, the aliens' energy shields flickered and failed. Holes appeared in their once impenetrable defense, growing larger with each successive hit. "It's working," Jake exclaimed, his voice filled with a mixture of relief and excitement. "The disruption fields are cascading through their entire formation." Sarah allowed herself a brief moment of elation before refocusing on the battle. "All conventional units, move in now. Target those weak points." Earth's remaining air forces, which had been held in reserve for this moment, sprang into action. Fighter jets and attack helicopters swarmed the vulnerable alien ships, their weapons finding purchase where before they had been useless. The Zarkov, caught off guard by the sudden effectiveness of Earth's defenses, struggled to regroup. Their tight formation, once a strength, now worked against them as the disruption field spread from ship to ship. But the aliens were far from beaten. As their initial strategy crumbled, they adapted with terrifying speed. The fleet split apart, individual ships taking evasive action, while others moved to engage Earth's ground-based defenses directly. "They're targeting the Project Cronus batteries," an analyst called out, her voice tight with tension. Sarah's mind raced, calculating their options. They couldn't lose those howitzers. They were the only thing keeping the aliens at bay. "Divert all available air support to protect those batteries," she ordered. "And get me a direct line to the nearest ground commander. We need boots on the ground to repel boarders." As the battle raged on, reports flooded in from around the world. In some areas, humanity was holding its ground, even pushing the aliens back. In others, the Zarkov were gaining footholds, their advanced ground troops proving a match for Earth's conventional forces. Sarah coordinated the global defense from the command center, her voice steady as she issued orders and responded to crises. But even as she directed the battle, her mind was working on the next step. They had surprised the Zarkov once. They needed to do it again. "Jake," she called out during a brief lull in the fighting. "What's the status on those alien ship fragments we recovered?" Jake looked up from his station, confusion evident on his face. "The ones with the weird biotech interfaces. The science team is still studying them, but they haven't made much progress." "Why?" Sarah's eyes gleamed with the spark of an idea. "Get me Dr. Lakshmi from Xenobiology. I think it's time we fight biotech with biotech." As Jake hurried to make the connection, Sarah turned her attention back to the tactical display. The battle had reached a critical juncture. While Project Cronus had given them an edge, the sheer number of alien ships was beginning to overwhelm their defenses. Just as it seemed the tide might turn against them, a transmission came through from the front lines. The face of a young soldier appeared on screen, her uniform covered in dirt and alien blood. "Major Chen," the soldier said, her voice filled with a mix of exhaustion and excitement. "You're not going to believe this. We've managed to capture one of their ground commanders. It's trying to communicate with us." Sarah's heart raced. This could be the breakthrough they needed. "Patch it through to Dr. Lakshmi," she ordered, "and tell your team to stand by. This could change everything." As the hours wore on, the battle for Earth hung in the balance. Project Cronus had given them a fighting chance, but Sarah knew they needed something more to truly turn the tide. The fate of humanity would be decided not just by the strength of their weapons, but by their ability to understand and outthink their enemy. In labs and bunkers around the world, Scientists and soldiers worked feverishly to unlock the secrets of the Zarkoth's biology and technology. Sarah coordinated it all, her mind racing with possibilities. If they could crack the code of the aliens' biotech interfaces, they might be able to do more than just defend Earth. They could take the fight to the stars. As the sun set on the most crucial day in human history, Sarah Chen stood at the heart of humanity's defense, her resolve unshaken. The Zarkoth had come expecting an easy conquest, but they had found instead a species willing to adapt, to innovate, and to fight with every ounce of their being. The battle was far from over, but for the first time since the invasion began, Sarah allowed herself to believe that they might just win this war. Not through overwhelming firepower or advanced technology, but through the indomitable spirit of humanity. A force that the Zarkoth were only now beginning to understand. As reports of small victories trickled in from around the globe, Sarah turned to her team, her eyes blazing with determination. "We've shown them what our primitive weapons can do," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the command center. "Now let's show them what happens when humanity really starts to fight back." A cheer went up from the assembled personnel, their faces reflecting the same mix of exhaustion and hope that Sarah felt. The turning point had come. Now it was time to seize the moment and push forward into an uncertain but promising future. The Howitzers that had started this journey were just the beginning. With captured alien tech, human ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit, Earth was preparing to take its first steps onto the galactic stage. And the Zarkoth Empire was about to learn that underestimating humanity was the biggest mistake they had ever made. Counterattack. The brief moment of hope following Project Cronus' success was shattered by the piercing wail of alarms. Major Sarah Chen's eyes snapped to the main display, where a new threat was materializing. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with tension. It's their reinforcements, Major. A lot of them." Sarah's jaw clenched as she took in the scene. The Zarkoth Empire had committed its reserves, and the sheer number of ships appearing in Earth's orbit was staggering. This was their counterattack, and it was massive. "All stations, battle stations," Sarah commanded, her voice carrying across the command center. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." As the room erupted into controlled chaos, Sarah opened a channel to General Hawthorne. The older woman's face appeared on screen, lines of worry etched deep into her features. "I see it, Major," Hawthorne said before Sarah could speak. "This is their all-or-nothing play. If we don't hold the line here." Sarah nodded grimly. "We won't get another chance. General, it's time to activate the Lazarus Protocol." Hawthorne's eyes widened slightly. The Lazarus Protocol was a last resort plan, one that would push Earth's defenses, and its defenders, to the absolute limit. "Are you sure, Chen? Once we start, there's no going back." For a brief moment, Sarah felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. But then she thought of all the lives depending on them, of the future they were fighting for. "I'm sure, General. It's time to show the Zarkoth what humanity is really capable of." Hawthorne nodded solemnly. "Very well. Lazarus Protocol is a go. Good luck, Major, to all of us." As the communication cut off, Sarah turned to address her team. "Listen up. The Zarkoth think they can overwhelm us with numbers. They think we'll break under the pressure, but they've never faced anything like what we're about to unleash." She brought up a holographic display of Earth's defenses, highlighting key points around the globe. "Project Cronus gave us an edge, but Lazarus will give us a fighting chance. We're activating every experimental weapon system we have, the orbital defense grid, the geothermal pulse cannons, even the atmospheric ionization array." Jake's eyes widened. "Major, some of those systems haven't even been tested yet. The risks are less than the risk of doing nothing." Sarah finished for him. "I know it's a gamble, but it's one we have to take. Humanity didn't come this far to roll over now." As her words sank in, Sarah could see the resolve hardening in the eyes of her team. They knew the odds, but they were ready to face them head-on. Jake, I need you to coordinate the global defense grid. Make sure every system is synced and ready to fire on my command. Dr. Lakshmi, she turned to the xenobiologist who had been working tirelessly to unravel the secrets of Zarkov Biotech. Tell me you have something we can use. The scientist nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement despite the dire situation. We've made a breakthrough, Major. The Zarkov use a form of organic computing in their ships. We've developed a virus that can interface with their systems. If we can deliver it, we can turn their own tech against them. Sarah finished, a grim smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Perfect. Get it loaded into our delivery systems. We'll only get one shot at this. As her team rushed to carry out her orders, Sarah turned her attention back to the tactical display. The Zarkov fleet was moving into position, their formation a terrifying display of alien might. But where others might have seen only doom approaching, Sarah saw opportunity. All units, prepare for coordinated assault, she commanded, her voice steady and sure. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the night. The next hours were a blur of frantic activity and heart-stopping moments. The Zarkov unleashed a barrage unlike anything Earth had ever seen, their energy weapons carving swaths of destruction across the planet's surface. But humanity's defenses held, barely. Project Cronus howitzers fired volley after volley, their disruption fields creating gaps in the alien shields. Through these openings, Earth's conventional forces struck, a deadly dance of missiles, fighters, and makeshift weaponry. The orbital defense grid, activated for the first time, proved its worth. Massive ion cannons, hastily constructed in Earth's orbit, fired lances of energy that pierced even the strongest Zarkov shields. For every human ship lost, they took 2 or 3 alien vessels with them. But the true game-changer came in the form of Dr. Lakshmi's virus. Loaded into specially designed missiles, it was fired directly at the heart of the Zarkov fleet. For a terrifying moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, chaos erupted among the alien ships. Vessels began firing on each other, their organic computers hijacked by the human-made virus. Entire sections of the Zarkov fleet fell into disarray, their coordinated assault breaking apart. It's working, Jake shouted, his voice barely audible over the din of the command center. The virus is spreading through their network. Sarah allowed herself a moment of fierce joy before refocusing on the battle. Push the advantage. All units, concentrate fire on their flagship. Let's cut the head off this snake. As Earth's forces rallied, pouring everything they had into the assault, the tide of battle began to turn. The Zarkov, for the first time since the invasion began, were on the defensive. But the aliens were far from beaten. As their main fleet faltered, a new threat emerged. Massive dropships, each carrying thousands of Zarkov ground troops, began descending towards Earth's surface. They're going for a ground invasion. An analyst called out, "Major, if they establish a foothold." Sarah's mind raced, calculating options. They couldn't let the Zarkov gain a ground presence, but diverting forces from the space battle could prove disastrous. It was then that an unexpected voice crackled over the comms. "This is Colonel Zhao of the Chinese People's Liberation Army. Major Chen, we have a solution to your ground problem." Sarah's eyebrow arched. "I'm listening, Colonel." "We've been working on a little project of our own," Zhao explained, a note of pride in his voice. "Mech suits, reverse-engineered from captured Zarkov tech. They're not pretty, but they pack a punch. We can meet those dropships head-on." For the first time in what felt like ages, Sarah felt a genuine smile spread across her face. "Colonel Zhao, you're a godsend. Deploy your mechs. Show these aliens what Earth's ground forces can do." As reports began flooding in of massive human-piloted mechs engaging Zarkov dropships in midair, Sarah felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best, adaptable, innovative, and utterly indomitable. The battle raged on, a titanic struggle that would be remembered for generations to come. Earth's forces, once on the brink of defeat, now fought with renewed vigor. The Zarkov, their carefully laid plans in shambles, found themselves facing an enemy unlike any they had encountered in their long history of conquest. As the hours wore on, it became clear that this would be the decisive engagement. Either humanity would emerge victorious or Earth would fall. There would be no middle ground, no chance for a tactical retreat or regrouping. In the heart of the command center, Sarah Chen stood like a rock amid a storm, issuing orders and coordinating the global defense. She had long since lost track of time, running on nothing but adrenaline and sheer force of will. Major, Jake's voice cut through her concentration. We're detecting a massive energy buildup in the Zarkov flagship. It's like nothing we've ever seen before. Sarah's blood ran cold as she saw the readings. Whatever the aliens were preparing, it had the potential to obliterate everything they had fought so hard to protect. All units, focus fire on that flagship, she commanded, her voice carrying the full weight of authority. We cannot let them complete that weapon charge. As every available weapon was brought to bear on the Zarkov command ship, Sarah knew they were in a race against time. The fate of Earth, of all humanity, hung in the balance. The next few minutes were the longest of Sarah's life. She watched, heart pounding, as volley after volley slammed into the alien flagship's shields. Project Cronus howitzers fired nonstop, their disruption fields creating brief windows of vulnerability. Just when it seemed their efforts would be in vain, a lucky shot found its mark. A massive explosion blossomed at the heart of the Zarkov vessel, followed by a chain reaction that tore the ship apart from within. A cheer went up in the command center, but Sarah remained focused. Don't celebrate yet, she cautioned. We've won the battle, but the war isn't over until the last Zarkov ship is driven from our solar system. As the remains of the alien flagship drifted in Earth's orbit, a palpable shift occurred in the battle. Without their central command, the Zarkov forces began to falter. Their once coordinated assault devolved into chaos. Sarah watched with a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration as humanity pressed its advantage. Around the globe, reports came in of Zarkov ships retreating, of alien ground forces being routed by Earth's defenders. As the realization of what they had accomplished began to sink in, Sarah felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see General Hawthorne, the older woman's eyes shining with pride. You did it, Chen, Hawthorne said softly. You gave humanity a fighting chance. And by God, we took it. Sarah shook her head. We all did it, General. Every soldier, every scientist, every civilian who refused to give up hope. This victory belongs to all of humanity. As the last of the Zarkov ships fled Earth's orbit, a new day dawned on a battered but unbroken planet. The war wasn't over. Sarah knew the aliens would be back, perhaps with an even larger force. But humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage. The howitzers that had seemed so primitive to the Zarkov had been just the beginning. With captured alien tech, human ingenuity, and an unbreakable spirit, Earth was ready to take its place among the stars. As Sarah looked out over the scared but healing Earth, she allowed herself a moment of hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that humanity would face them together, stronger and more united than ever before. The Zarkov had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. And now, the galaxy would never be the same. Triumph of ingenuity. The days following the Zarkov retreat were a blur of activity. Major Sarah Chen found herself at the center of a whirlwind of debriefings, strategy sessions, and global reconstruction efforts. The victory had been hard-won, and the cost in lives and infrastructure was staggering. But amid the rubble and grief, a new sense of purpose was emerging. Sarah stood before the United Earth Council, a hastily formed body of global leaders brought together by the alien threat. The chamber, once a grand hall in Geneva, now bore the scars of recent battles. Makeshift repairs and jury-rigged systems were everywhere, a testament to humanity's resilience. Major Chen, the council chairperson, began, her voice echoing in the cavernous room. "You've led us through our darkest hour. But the Zarkov will return. What do you propose we do now?" Sarah took a deep breath, her mind racing with the possibilities and challenges that lay ahead. "Honorable council members," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Our victory was not just a triumph of weapons, but of human ingenuity and spirit. We've proven that we can stand against a technologically superior foe. Now, we must ensure we're ready for their return." She activated a holographic display, showing schematics of advanced weaponry and defensive systems. Project Cronus was just the beginning. We've learned more about alien technology in the past months than we have in all of human history. It's time we put that knowledge to use. The display shifted, showing orbiting shipyards and sprawling research facilities. "I propose Operation Prometheus, a global initiative to reverse engineer Zarkov technology and combine it with our own innovations. We'll build a defense fleet, enhance our planetary shields, and develop weapons that will make any invader think twice before attacking Earth." Murmurs of approval rippled through the chamber, but one counselor raised a hand in objection. "And what of diplomacy, Major? Surely we should attempt to negotiate with the Zarkov to prevent further bloodshed." Sarah nodded, acknowledging the point. "Diplomacy has its place, Counselor, but we negotiate from a position of strength. The Zarkov respect power. We need to show them that Earth is not an easy target, but a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy." As the Council debated the merits of her proposal, Sarah's mind wandered to the countless individuals who had made their victory possible. Dr. Lakshmi, whose breakthrough in alien biotech had turned the tide of battle. Colonel Zhao, whose mech suits had repelled the ground invasion. And Lieutenant Jake Rodriguez, whose unwavering support had been her rock throughout the conflict. The chairperson's voice snapped Sarah back to the present. "The Council has reached a decision. Operation Prometheus is approved. Major Chen, you will oversee its implementation." Sarah saluted crisply, a mixture of relief and determination flooding through her. "Thank you, Council. We won't let you down." The next months were a whirlwind of activity. Every nation on Earth contributed to Operation Prometheus, pooling resources and expertise in a way never before seen in human history. Former enemies became allies, united by the common goal of planetary defense. In orbit, massive shipyards took shape, their skeletal frames slowly filling out as the first of Earth's defense fleet was constructed. On the ground, research facilities worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of science and technology. Sarah found herself constantly on the move, overseeing projects, solving crises, and rallying spirits when the enormity of the task threatened to overwhelm them. But everywhere she went, she saw the same determination in the eyes of those working tirelessly to secure Earth's future. One day, as she inspected a newly completed ion cannon array in the Atacama Desert, Sarah received an urgent message from Jake. "Major, you need to see this," his holographic image said, excitement evident in his voice. "We've made a breakthrough in FTL technology." Sarah's heart raced as she rushed back to the main research facility. Faster-than-light travel had been the holy grail of their reverse engineering efforts. If they had cracked it, she burst into the lab to find Jake and Dr. Lakshmi huddled over a complex array of equipment. "Show me," she demanded, barely containing her anticipation. Dr. Lakshmi stepped forward, her eyes shining with the thrill of discovery. "We've managed to create a stable wormhole," she explained, gesturing to a shimmering portal of energy. "It's small, and we can only maintain it for a few seconds, but it's proof of concept. With more work, we could potentially open gateways to distant parts of the galaxy." Sarah stared at the wormhole, her mind reeling with the implications. "This changes everything," she murmured. "We're no longer confined to our solar system. We can take the fight to the Zarkov if we need to." Jake nodded, a grim smile on his face. "And we can explore, colonize. Ensure the survival of our species even if. He trailed off, not wanting to voice the possibility of Earth's fall. Sarah squared her shoulders, a new resolve filling her. We won't let it come to that. This discovery isn't just a weapon, it's hope. It's the future we've been fighting for. As news of the FTL breakthrough spread, a new wave of optimism swept through the global population. The defensive preparations, which had begun to feel like a grim necessity, now took on an air of exciting possibility. Humanity was not just securing its home, it was preparing to take its first steps into the wider galaxy. Months turned into years, and Earth underwent a transformation. The scars of the Zarkov invasion slowly healed, replaced by the gleaming infrastructure of a civilization on the brink of a new era. The first of Earth's defense fleet, a sleek vessel christened the EDS Resilience, took its maiden voyage to the edge of the solar system and back. On the 5th anniversary of the Zarkov retreat, Sarah stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first large-scale orbital habitat. Below her, the blue marble of Earth shone, now encircled by a thin, shimmering line, the planetary shield that was humanity's first line of defense. Quite a view, isn't it? General Hawthorne's voice came from behind her. The older woman joined Sarah at the viewport, her face reflecting the same mix of pride and wonder that Sarah felt. Sometimes I can hardly believe how far we've come, Sarah admitted. 5 years ago, we were fighting for our very existence. Now, we're on the brink of becoming an interstellar civilization. Hawthorne nodded, a wry smile on her face. All thanks to some primitive howitzers that caught the Zarkov by surprise. You know, the latest intelligence suggests they've been telling stories about Earth throughout their empire. We're becoming something of a boogeyman to them. Sarah couldn't help but chuckle at the thought. Good. Let them think twice before they try to invade anyone else. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication. Jake's face appeared on a nearby screen, his expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. Major General, we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures at the edge of the solar system. It's them. The Zarkov are back. Sarah and Hawthorne exchanged a look. This was the moment they had been preparing for. Sound the alert, Sarah commanded. But let's not jump to conclusions. They could be here to talk. As Harmony Station erupted into controlled chaos, Sarah made her way to the command center. The tactical display showed a Zarkov fleet, smaller than the invasion force but still formidable, holding position just beyond Pluto's orbit. They're hailing us, Jake reported, surprise evident in his voice. Sarah took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. Put them through. The screen flickered to life, revealing the alien visage of a Zarkov commander. Its multiple eyes blinked in what Sarah had learned to recognize as a sign of respect. Greetings, warriors of Earth. The alien's translated voice resonated through the command center. We come not for war, but for parley. A murmur of surprise rippled through the assembled staff. Sarah kept her expression neutral, years of diplomatic training kicking in. We welcome the opportunity for dialogue, she replied carefully. But be warned, if this is a prelude to another invasion, you'll find Earth far more prepared than last time. The Zarkov commander's tendrils writhed in what might have been amusement. Of that, we have no doubt. Your species has proven most impressive. Our Emperor wishes to discuss an alliance. Sarah's eyebrows shot up in genuine surprise. An alliance? Just a few years ago, you were trying to conquer us. And we learned the folly of underestimating Earth, the commander replied. Your innovations, your adaptability, they are qualities the Zarkov Empire could benefit from. And in return, we offer you the knowledge and resources of a galactic civilization. As the implications of the offer sank in, Sarah felt a mixture of hope and caution. This could be the opportunity Earth had been waiting for, a chance to secure its place in the galaxy without further bloodshed. But it could also be a trap, a ploy to lower their guard. She turned to General Hawthorne, who nodded almost imperceptibly. They had discussed this possibility, however remote it had seemed. We're willing to discuss terms, Sarah said to the Zarkoth commander. "But any negotiations will take place on neutral ground, with full security measures in place." The commander's tendrils rippled in agreement. "Acceptable. We await your coordinates for the meeting." As the communication ended, the command center erupted into excited chatter. Sarah held up a hand for silence. "This could be a new chapter for Earth," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "But we remain vigilant. Prepare our diplomatic team, but keep our defenses at full alert." In the days that followed, as preparations for the historic meeting got underway, Sarah found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the first desperate defense with hastily modified howitzers to the cusp of becoming a player on the galactic stage, it had been a transformation beyond anything she could have imagined. The aliens had come expecting to find a primitive, easy conquest. Instead, they had encountered the indomitable human spirit, the relentless drive to adapt and overcome. And in doing so, they had inadvertently catapulted humanity into a new era. As Sarah prepared to lead Earth's delegation to the negotiations, she felt a profound sense of pride and responsibility. Whatever the outcome, one thing was certain: humanity had proven itself. They had faced the ultimate test and emerged stronger, more united, and ready to take their place among the stars. The howitzers that had turned the tide of the first battle were now relics, museum pieces that told the story of Earth's defiance. But the spirit they represented, the blend of ingenuity, courage, and determination, that would be humanity's true legacy as they stepped onto the galactic stage. The Zarkoth, and indeed the entire galaxy, were about to learn that underestimating Earth was a mistake no one would make twice. For in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity had not just survived, they had thrived. And now, the stars themselves were within their reach.